This is the 45th video out of 47. You're coming into the home stretch here. In this video, we're going to look at applying flow to Scrum, the second part. This is all part of the Flow Certified Professional online training series. My name is Andrew Kallman, and I'm happy to be your host, guide, and facilitator for this particular video. And if you saw the earlier video where we talked a little bit about this, I'm going to unpack this a little bit more in this video, and where it's repetition, I'm just going to sort of zoom past it. Your leadership takeaways. In the first half, we looked at the manifesto for the Agile software development, so that's in the last video. We looked at the 12 principles that were in alignment with that. I'm just going to keep beating that drum. Difference between project and product. We looked at roles again, and then we looked at the inform act curve and how to gain accountability and commitment. So in this video, we're going to look at the Scrum framework again, and we're going to revisit vision. So if you haven't seen this by now, that tells me you didn't watch the other video. But in the Scrum framework, where's vision? Nowhere to be found. Apparently, this potentially shippable product increment, and I would say product, service, or result, just sort of appeared out of thin air, and that there's no vision behind it whatsoever if I wanted to be really tough on my Scrum and Agile friends. And so I always put vision into Scrum. And as I've said many, many times, the backlog should contain the entire vision. Does that mean that the backlog has everything in it that it needs? Probably not. And even if you're doing a work breakdown structure, I'll guarantee you, you don't have everything in there at the start that you need. And what you start with won't look like what you end with. So we're going to look at this from the VSPT and vision standpoint, and from the definition standpoint as well. And you create your backlog. And the great thing about Agile and Scrum is you don't have to have a complete backlog to get started. And as we're looking at this Agile Warrior way of looking at things, in the beginning, as you're putting things into the backlog, the product owner might be thinking about a gold diamond. Another developer, she might be thinking about a blue triangle, or this developer, he might be thinking about a green circle as they're in the beginning and they're trying to figure out what they're doing. As you move along, everyone, as the conversation is occurring, as distillation takes place, we're now we were looking at vision and strategy in the product backlog. We're now looking at people and tasks here. And we're going to plan the sprint and create the sprint backlog, which is a subset of the product backlog. Remember, the product backlog is prioritized by value. And as we're looking at these, as the conversation that needs to happen occurs, you're going to have people going, oh, well, we weren't thinking about those other colors. We were actually thinking purple. And as they chat more, they go, well, it's actually a combination of these three. It's not just a triangle or a diamond or a circle. It's actually a star. And all of a sudden, real distillation starts to take place, and people begin to gain agreement about what it is that they're trying to deliver. During the sprint, we use product backlogs, we use the Kanban boards, we use burn-up charts, and we are now focused on the goal of delivering the same thing for the sprint. And so we're still people and tasks. We're now looking at delivery, but every day in the process, you're going to have a define, distill, deliver, and drive subloop in the define, distill, deliver, and drive governance loop. So it's occurring at many levels, and you get more and more granular as you move along. For the reporting, you can look at any of our videos that we have done on how we report for the teams. Not just burn-up charts, we use team health radars, we use flow friction analysis. We have a whole bunch of ways that we can measure the health and maturity of the team in their journey as they become more and more agile in their daily work. And Scrum is the major methodology used in Agile. It's over 70% of all teams using Agile are using Scrum, or a hybrid of Scrum with Scrum XP or some other Scrum hybrid. At the end, you come full circle. And this is the link back that we're talking about. Most companies are able to do the cascading vision, where they cascade the vision and the strategies and the people and tasks, or projects and tactics, if you want to look at either as a leadership or management issue. And as that's cascaded down, hopefully they're cascading down the one thing. And then we're linking back. So this potentially shippable product increment at the review should link back to the vision that is contained in the product backlog. And that is the key thing that is missing in almost every Agile methodology that's out there, is the complete lack of linking back to the vision. Most companies don't have a way to effectively link back. And you've seen the video and the Domino's video and what the concept is behind this half of cascading vision and cascading the one thing. So when you come all together, this is what it looks like. People aren't really, they're using the same words, but they don't mean the same thing. Suddenly they start to distill real agreement, then they focus on delivering it. Then they're going to double check it at the review or demo. And then retrospectively, they're going to also look at how to improve the process of delivering the increments as they're moving along. And this is another picture that I used, that I drew this one, where you've got the vision. And I like to put the vision there big and visible. Here I've separated the vision, strategy, and the people and tasks this way using VSPT. It just makes it easier to understand the top half of the sandwich. And then the define, distill, deliver, and drive parts of that as the base of the sandwich. And again, the product backlog should encompass the entire vision for the product. Now we're going to go back to vision. And are you walking the talk or just talking the talk? Because if you don't have a vision for your product, you probably have an extremely high chance of failing. So, and it goes to leadership as well. If your walk and talk are equal, so the implied and stated visions match the true and actual vision, and these are in balance, and the distilled agreement is there. So you've defined it, you've distilled it, you can deliver it, okay? And this is what the picture looks like. But if you're not walking the talk, and it's like that one picture that I shared earlier about that executive where he had nothing but check marks down the poster for every one of the values that were violated. It's the same thing for vision. If you put it up there, you could start putting check marks of every time the executives or the senior leadership have violated what they are saying that they believe when it comes to vision. And if there isn't distillation, if there is no distilled agreement, you're going to get politics, and worse, you're going to get compensating practices. And everyone's just going to do what's right in their own eyes. And then you're going to have chaos, and it's going to be really messy. So if the walk and the talk aren't equal, then the vision is fractured. And without a doubt, politics will arise. So some of this was a recap, and it was a review. You've seen these slides before. We're aligned with the manifesto. We talked about the Scrum Guide. Those 2 points we talked about in the last video. These 2 points, the Scrum Framework, we unpacked it a little bit more, made it a little more visual for you here, how we do Scrum, because I wanted specifically to call this out for Scrum. and especially since it's 70% of all the teams are using Scrum. And then we revisited vision, because without vision, it doesn't matter what you're producing. Okay, you might have the best ability to just send things through the system really fast, but if you don't have vision guiding that and prioritizing that, it's going to be really difficult to be delivering the right thing at the right time. So this video in this section and these videos here at the end are examples of how Flow can turbocharge the leadership of your Agile efforts. It works the same for all other methods and frameworks, since Flow is methodology agnostic.